Hey gang, I got an offer for you today from LinkedIn. As business to business marketers, your needs are unique. B2B buying cycles are long and your customers face incredibly complex decisions. Isn't it time you had a marketing platform built specifically for you? LinkedIn ads empower marketers with solutions for you and your customers. LinkedIn ads allow you to build the right relationships, drive results, and reach your customers in a respectful environment. On LinkedIn, you have direct access to build relationships with decision makers. Of the 875 million users on the network, 180 million are senior level executives. 10 million are C-level executives. You will also be able to drive results with targeting and measuring with their tools built specifically for B2B. And best of all, they work. Audiences exposed to brand messages on LinkedIn are 6 times more likely to convert. LinkedIn ads also rank #1 for security, community, and ad experience as part of the Business Insider's Digital Trust Study. Make B2B marketing everything it can be and get a $100 credit. It's a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. It's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. It's about the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, and how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. I'm Seth. I've been Seth for the past 100 and bunch of episodes. It hasn't changed. I'm still Seth. Anyhow, I'm here with Nick Bhavsar of Bhavsar Consulting. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Seth.
Yes, first try. Yay. And Nick is a marketing consultant. He helps businesses. And from what I remember from our last call, you help a lot of startups get a handle on things. Which, if anyone's dealt with startups or been in startups, they don't know their head from their ass. They really don't. So that's when you call someone like Nick in to help them figure stuff out. But let's go a little bit more into that. What is the nitty gritty of your consulting practice?
Yeah, thanks, Seth. It's good to meet you. My first question was, were you Seth before podcasting, or is that just in the last
Oh, it's
100
brand
episodes
it's
you became
brand
Seth?
new. Just I like that name. No,
There you go.
I've been Seth for 41 years. So
Yeah, good stuff.
yeah.
So, in terms of consulting, I'll get into that in a second, but just kind of by background, I was an engineer by trade, electrical engineer. So very much left brain thinking, worked for
Hmm.
Intel, designing high-end servers. So very, very technical stuff. And then
Yeah.
got out of the lab. That was up in the Northwest in Seattle and Portland. I moved down to Austin, Texas, and kind of fell in love with the marketing side of things. And so I've run different marketing teams for the past 20 years. And then about 3 or 4 years ago, I started my own consulting practice, really just trying to help entrepreneurs and early stage marketing executives, sales executives get more demand generation pipeline. With my technical background, I used a bunch of systems and processes, spreadsheets, templates, that kind of thing, to do various exercises within marketing. And so the focus has been kind of B2B SaaS, Series A, Series B. Although some of the practices I've done with a couple of publicly traded companies, so definitely can
Wow.
apply for larger organizations as well. But we find that usually when there's some new product development and some new message to get out, that's kind of the sweet.
And you let me guess, you enjoy startups more 'cause they're like the more nimble.
Yeah, I like them both. They're different challenges.
Hmm.
You get a little bit more resources at the larger companies, but it's just a blank slate with startups, right? You can come up with any message, any sort of anything that'll resonate. So it's always fun to be able to have that blank slate.
And people to try both, which is kind of nice. So yeah.
Hmm.
And so you're based in Austin, which is a crazy town from what I hear. It is a gem in Texas, but it's its own beast.
That's right. Yeah, we're getting a lot of folks from both coasts, West Coast, East Coast. Last
And
week
you're
we had a
getting
pretty
ice storms
crazy
too, to
ice
boot.
storm. That's right. Yeah, I'm looking out my window right now, and it's apocalyptic. I mean, there's just half
Do
the
we still
trees
have
are
ice down
down,
there
and
now?
we don't have ice, but all the trees are down, so they haven't come around to pick up the trees, and
Because
it's
you guys don't know how to deal with this
no,
ice. Whereas
no,
it was like 32 or like 20 when we're
yeah.
recording this is in like the beginning of February. And I remember seeing pictures of Texas getting slammed with ice, and we're a balmy 65 degrees. And I'm like, something's backwards. The pole
It's
lift.
sad because we get some 75-year-old oak trees that are down and stuff
I
like that. I mean, some
know.
huge, huge trees. So definitely Mother Nature didn't know what to do with that ice storm.
Oh my god. So, how did you find your way into
Electrical.
engineering
I'll
today?
probably date myself here a little bit, but I remember, gosh, years ago when I was like 10 years old, my dad brought home a PC and it was like an IBM PS2.
Yeah.
And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, right? You type on it and I'd found out how you play video games on it and
Mhm.
just geeked out on the computer and then kept following that pursuit, learned some programming languages, did different things. And then ultimately I just wanted to keep going deeper and deeper in
Mm.
understanding like how does a computer really work? And can't get much deeper than the electrical engineering level. And
That's
yeah, the idea was go work for Intel because they amongst every other company were the one that was like, they understand how a computer works really well. So that was
exactly.
kind
Are
of
you
a little bit of
originally
a dream.
from the Pacific Northwest, or
No, so that
how'd you
was,
end up out there?
yeah, so
Yeah.
I grew up in Houston. So that was a Texas
Oh,
connection.
so you're a
Um,
Texan through and through. So there you
yeah,
go.
yeah. And so then I actually went to school though in Illinois. So Illinois has a
Oh
phenomenal
yeah, they do.
engineering program. And at that time, this was back in the late 90s, it had the only fabrication
Mhm.
facility, which is where you make chips and stuff like that. Intel had poured some money in there. So Intel was recruiting from Illinois quite
Oh, so you
heavily.
alright, that's where I'm gonna go after school, yeah.
Yeah, that was exactly it. So it worked out pretty well. So yeah, it was
So
fun.
you went from Houston to Urbana,
That's
Champlain,
right.
and then which because University of Illinois is known for the geek culture there, like,
Yeah.
it's like that and Carnegie Mellon, or and MIT, there's that little place
Yep.
called MIT, but of the non-MIT, like,
Yeah, the non-Ivy
University of Illinois
Leagues.
is, like,
Yeah.
where it's at. Isn't the NIST there?
Yeah, is amongst outside of the Ivy League schools, it's in the state schools, it's at least at the time, it was the number one electrical engineering program in the country. So it was like that was a big draw for me. And part of it, you're kicking out of high school. I'm like, I want to get away from my parents in Houston and Texas and all that. So
So you
got
went
out there and
from warm, like, almost boiling to, like, frigid cold.
yeah, yeah, in the middle of nowhere, right? So there's
I know.
there's campus and that's
What's in
about it.
Urbana? Is there
Yeah,
anything
there's
there besides the college, or it's pretty much the
it's
college?
it's pretty much the college. Although it's kind of a cool little town, but there's
Yeah.
pretty much the college. It's about
So you left University of Illinois, went to Intel.
yeah.
And you were at Intel for how long?
About 4 years, so various engineering jobs there, and then I remember it's funny, I remember,
Yeah.
so we were designing some high-end servers, these things were
Ooh.
like $10,000, this is back in 2000, and we had a guy, it was a business guy that was buying our servers, and he had some problem with it. There was some like, it wasn't computing correctly or something like that, and so he came up to our lab, and we were trying to figure out what was going on, and I got to talk to the guy, and he was taking this $10,000 server and turning around and selling it for nearly $100,000. And
Whoa.
I started talking to him. I was like, "How are you doing?" They're like, "What are you doing with this that you're making 90,000 on this thing?" And he had designed some specific software to run on the server for a specific business application. And so it was just for me, it was
Oh.
the insight of wow, you can just that much value creation with a little bit of software running on our servers. And that was a little bit of the catalyst for me of why I'd want to get into marketing. I was like, a little bit of it was more than marketing, it was more just business. And so
Yeah.
that was the transition. I left Intel, came down to Austin and went to business school down here at UT.
Okay.
Kind of got back to Texas and got my roots here
Yeah. I'm
and
sure your mom was glad to have you back.
yeah, it was fun to get back to Texas.
Yeah.
Austin and Houston are about 3 hours apart, so it was relatively easy to visit
Perfect
and all that.
distance, right? It was, like, good enough that you can
Exactly.
go home, see the folks, but, like, you're
Right.
not required to.
Exactly. You're not popping in for a sudden visit or they're not, and so vice versa. But
More the reverse than the other way.
exactly. So,
That's wild. And you end up in Austin, which is a very fun,
right.
vibrant town. I hear, like, you have a South by Southwest down there, which I'm
Yep.
sure. Let me guess, you've never been to South by, have you?
No, I have. Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm sure you have. If you've been in Austin and you're in marketing,
Right.
why not go to South by? You're
Yeah,
like in your backyard. It's awesome.
right.
So you went from working for tech companies to working for yourself. We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
Hey, it's Jason Falls of the Marketing Podcast Network. You know we're trying to bring you the greatest education opportunities out there. We've got another one for you, folks. The Creator Economy Expo, CEX 2023, is for content creators and entrepreneurs interested in building and growing their content-first businesses without relying on social platforms. This year's Creator Economy Expo features 10 amazing keynote speakers and over 30 in-depth breakout sessions. Join 500-plus bloggers, podcasters, authors, newsletter writers, speakers, coaches, and consultants and freelancers at the learning and networking event for content creators. Don't be left out. Plan to attend this year, May 1st through the 3rd, 2023 in Cleveland, Ohio. Register now and get early bird pricing, and the Marketing Podcast Network has a special offer for you. You can get $100 off using the coupon code MPN100. That's MPN100. Head over to cex.events to register. cex.events, code MPN100.
What is the best thing that you've seen so far in the years being an entrepreneur?
The best thing, part of it is just being able to set my own schedule, say
Yeah.
no to clients that I don't want to engage with, but more importantly, just speak with various entrepreneurs and understand what they're trying to do. And then I always used to say, as a sort of independent consultant, I look smarter than I am, because all I do is go talk to this client and say, hey, what's working and what's not working? And then go talk to this client and be like, hey, I got an idea. This is working over here and this isn't working. And so
It's
that's pretty much,
colonization, yeah.
and when you work for one company, it's just so hard to get that visibility. But I've had the luxury of working with probably 35 to 40 different startups in the past 3 or 4 years pretty closely. And,
wild.
you understand different business models, different tech stacks, different solutions, different people issues, all of those things. And you just
Yeah.
get to, if you're paying attention, you can kind of see, hey, this is working over here. Let me go try this over here. And it doesn't always work, but that kind of experimentation, it's just so much faster.
Oh, that's fantastic. Being an entrepreneur, what keeps you up at night?
Yeah. So what's funny is when I first started, so, I've been a marketing executive for 20 years and I never carried a bag. I never had a sales quote. I never, a little bit of a bonus here or there, but like in marketing, you get maybe what, like 10, 15, 20% tied to your compensation is tied to a bonus. But all of a sudden overnight, I went to 100%. Right? And so
Yeah.
it was just like, all of
You
a
are
sudden it's
your
like,
commission. Yeah.
exactly. And so if this well dries up, it's going to need to go for a while here. So that's a little scary. I mean, there's things you could do to offset that a little
Yeah.
bit. So I've been pretty fortunate that it's been a good run so far, and I've been enjoying
That's
it quite a
awesome.
bit.
That's great. So what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
I think part of it is just everybody's out there trying to figure things out, just having a little bit of empathy. I'm definitely a very left brain oriented person. So my gut reaction is to start with systems, engineering, and process. But at the end of the day, people are out trying to figure out how to grow their businesses, and having a little bit of empathy for why they're in it and what their situation is, I think goes a long way. And what I find is a fair bit in this executive consulting is a fair bit of the management side, which is for
Yeah.
sort of the template side of it. But then there's the leadership side, which is managing people and overseeing the people. I heard a great quote. I wish I could take credit for it. It's smarts with hearts. You got to have a little
Love
bit of
that.
both
Yeah.
sides of it. And so, I try to do a fair bit of that with my business as well. And I've got to know whether it's entrepreneurs or various executives pretty well. And it's neat to see them be successful and grow. And even when not, like to see them move on to the next thing and help them out there. So it's been a lot of fun.
I bet. And I know in my business, I've seen a lot of when someone moves from one company to another. Have you been following them along? Have they said, hey, Nick, come over here now? Has that happened a lot in the past 20 years?
Yeah. So I've only been doing the consulting for about 3.5, 4 years, but
Oh,
definitely have
really?
seen through my career, there's definitely, and it's funny in Austin where we were just talking about this last week,
Yeah.
there's one company is successful and you'll see the executive team and the folks graduate and move on to another company. And then they sweep up a bunch of the similar folks and they run the same plays again. And so I'm sure, that's been a thing in Silicon Valley, is starting to see become one out here as well. So it's definitely neat. I think part of it is you want to work with people that you know and that you got relationships with. Which is
Yeah, the
always
no
fun.
like and trust factor. Yeah.
Exactly.
So Nick, where's the best place for people to find you online? Where's your major watering hole?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn's probably the key one. So I try to keep that updated. That's where most of my
It's
clients
so
are
much
as
fun.
well. So it's been pretty neat. I got to do a better job. I want to get into some videos and various other things up
Ooh.
there and start sharing some of the best practices a little bit. Yeah, that's probably the best place.
So Nick, this has been so much fun. Thank you for taking the
Yeah,
time out of your busy day, because I know
absolutely.
you're busy doing processes and this and that. Probably rewiring the microwave in the process too.
No, probably I'm gonna go pull some trees out and get them cut
Oh,
up.
I
And
know.
that's really what we're doing out here in Texas.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, seriously. Nick, thank you so much for being on, and we'll see everyone next week.
Thanks, Seth.
That was a great show. Hey, if you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please give us a review on the podcast directory of your choice. We're on all of them, and these reviews really help others find the show. Also, if you're getting value from the show and want to buy me a coffee, go to the show notes and click on the link to help me stay awake while I bring you more great episodes to your ears. That's in the show notes, and I look forward to the next episode. Take care, guys. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode. This podcast is one of the many great shows on the MPN Marketing Podcast Network.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Christopher Hines hosts a great podcast called Founder Success Methods. Chris, tell us what these fine folks will get out of listening.
You'll learn how to really grow your startup and get the basic strategies to build a successful company. We show you all the details and all the strategies that you just can't find on Google, YouTube, or even other podcasts.
Ooh, we're going to be lined up for this one. Where can people subscribe?
You can search for the podcast Founder Success Methods wherever you listen to podcasts, or find me on Twitter at Chris Podcasting.
Or go to marketingpodcasts.net. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.